Hey everyone, Brian Zane here with your slightly belated review of Elimination Chamber 2018. Normally these pay-per-view reviews come out like late Sunday night, early Monday morning. However, I was still traveling back home from my vacation the previous week on Sunday night, so I was not able to actually watch Elimination Chamber live. By the time I got back home, I was late. It was late, I was tired, I was done with the day, and it was time for me to go to bed. So I watched the Chamber pay-per-view first thing Monday morning to give you my review today. And you know, what a heck of a week for me to miss Raw last week. So there was no Who Wore It Better last week, and wow, I mean, I certainly missed an episode of Raw, didn't I? The 2-hour gauntlet match, an hour plus Seth Rollins is in the ring. That's just an amazing accomplishment. I have not seen the match yet, but I've heard nothing but good things about that and Raw in general, and I read the results for both shows while I was away, and you know, it definitely seems like Raw would have won that week had I actually done Who Wore It Better, but you got St. Valentine's Day Massacre on Wednesday instead, so you know, I thought that was a fair trade. Anyway, let's begin with the review. The pre-show has Gallows and Anderson taking on the Miztourage. Not much to say about this tag team match. Pretty good, solid opening match for the show, getting the crowd interested. The match ends when Gallows and Anderson had a magic killer to win the matchup. And immediately after the match, you don't even get a second to breathe and really absorb this victory here by Gallows and Anderson. We go right away backstage to a picture-in-picture where Mike Rowan fumbles his way through the first words of this backstage interview with the Revival. And they start cutting a promo on both tag teams, saying, oh, that's not tag team wrestling, we're tag team wrestling. And before they can even finish the promo, Dash is still talking or just starting his words when they cut it off. And he's like, well, fuck these guys. Let's move on to what else is going on in the show. We know that was kind of disrespectful. I didn't know if that was the plan or not, but that was kind of interesting. So where does this go? Is this going to turn into a 3-team feud between the Miztourage, the Revival, and the Good Brothers? Then if that's the case, over what exactly? Because we already saw the Revival win their little mini program with the Good Brothers. So they're kind of like, they should move on. I think I'd like to see more conflict, honestly, just having this be a precursor to conflict between, you know, the Balor Club and Miz and friends leading to WrestleMania. I think I'd be more interested in that than whatever they have planned with the Revival at this point. The first official match of the show is the first ever Women's Elimination Chamber match for the Raw Women's Championship. Alexa is defending her title against 5 other women. It starts out with Sonya Deville of Absolution and Bayley. A bit of a feeling out process early on, and really at one point it was just fighting around the chamber wall, fighting which of these two are going to use it first. They're struggling. I did like Bayley's little counter from the slingshot into the jumping and grabbing onto the wall. That was kind of a cool little bit there. She does toss Sonya in. Mandy Rose enters next, so it's a bit of a 2-on-1 situation. Both members of Absolution in their matching outfits taking on Bayley. There's a spear by Deville onto Bayley on the outside, which just looked so stiff. I was like, because it came out of nowhere with Deville running in from out of shot into Bayley for that spear. It's a nice tight shot. That was a really kind of a spot that took me by surprise. Sasha Banks comes in next to even the odds, so they take out Absolution. There's good use of the environment here for this matchup. That's the one thing I was looking for this match, because, you know, a lot of the stuff they were doing was not totally, you know, earth-shattering what they did, but they did have this first ever really use of this different environment, like the expanded floor level with the apron, to do some different variations on what they normally do, their more familiar spots in the ring. Mandy Rose is the first one gone in this match after a bank statement by Sasha. Mickie James comes into the ring next, and she's a house of fire. Mickie and Bayley climb the chamber wall at one point. Bayley gets knocked off. Mickie gets onto the top of a pod, does a big old yell, and leaps onto Sonya Deville and eliminates her. So all of Absolution at this point is out of the match, which I think is kind of unfortunate. I would have liked to have seen more of Absolution in this match, you know, working together and just team up to beat up other people in this matchup. For them to be eliminated so quickly in this thing, I thought was a little disappointing, but didn't take too much away from the match in my opinion. Mickie is hit with a backstabber by Sasha, right into a belly-to-belly, and she's eliminated. So now Alexa Bliss enters last, and because she's a 2-on-1 situation, she immediately flees to the top of the pod, sidles across the wall, but is cornered. It's an amusing little escape mechanism here by Alexa trying to get away from everything. Sasha tries to help Bayley up on the top of the pod, but kicks her off, and as Corey Graves repeatedly said, oh, the dagger in the heart, the dagger in the back, say what you will, Bayley's just being stabbed repeatedly here, metaphorically. Bliss hits Bayley with a second rope superplex, followed by a frog splash from Sasha onto Bayley, but Bayley kicks out, probably because it wasn't a real frog splash. Bayley to belly on Sasha off the ropes from Bayley, but Alexa with a surprise roll-up onto Bayley for Bayley to be eliminated. So why Bayley was the one eliminated, even though Sasha was the one who just was hit with the finisher, I'm not entirely sure. And anyway. Twisted Bliss off the top of the pod onto Sasha, but she rolls up into a bank statement, and they keep rolling into the ring. You think that maybe Alexa's going to tap out here, but it's not the case. She fights her way out. Banks goes to climb to the top of the pod, but Bliss shoves her face first into the edge, a super DDT, and Bliss wins and retains the matchup. Bliss cuts a seemingly heartfelt promo after the match, tearing up and talking about chasing your dreams, and then she turns heel on the fans. What a shocking, unforeseen twist. It's not like we haven't seen that at all ever from Alexa over the last, I don't know, God, I feel like it's only a month ago that happened last time. Anyway, I thought it was a fine match for it being the first ever women's chamber match. I think there was plenty of excitement in there. I think they really utilized the space to their advantage to create some interesting moments and spots throughout. So yeah, I thought it was good. Up next, the Raw tag titles on the line as the Bar defend against Titus Worldwide. This is part of the ongoing series these two teams have had, where seemingly Apollo and Titus have the Bar's number on television. They've beaten them on Raw in non-title matches a few times, including last week, the show I missed, and so here we are with this match. Fun fact, the last time we saw a pay-per-view in Las Vegas in this arena, you had Apollo taking on Sheamus in singles action. This is shortly after Apollo debuted for the main roster, and I thought it was very interesting. Actually, Corey brings this up on commentary in a very clever way.
Dana Brooke told me when it comes to competing in the home arena of NHL expansion teams during their first year, Titus O'Neil is undefeated.
The fans are booing over something at one point in the match that seems to be completely unrelated to what's going on in the match itself. This is a recurring theme throughout this whole show. The crowd I didn't really care for. I think they did not bring their A game with this audience here. Apollo does not see the tag between Sheamus and Cesaro. They take him out and retain the titles. How many times, just with this team alone, this matchup alone between these two teams, have we seen Apollo be the one who doesn't see the blind tag and ends up taking the fall? I feel that's kind of happened a lot, not only with Cesaro and Sheamus matches, but I feel we've seen it a lot just in general with Apollo. He seems to be kind of the dum-dum of the group. I don't understand why that's the case. Like, of the two people who you think should take the fall, I would put the fall more on Titus than Apollo, because Apollo has more upside, but what do I know? I thought it was a good match. I enjoyed seeing when Titus Worldwide got their hot tag and everything, their big comeback. That was a really cool moment there. The crowd was into that, at least. I wonder if we're going to see, like, with this lower tag team feud of like the Revival and the Good Brothers and the Miztourage, I wonder if they're going to stumble backwards into like a four-way match for the titles now with the Bar, because now who are Cesaro and Sheamus going to fight at WrestleMania for those titles? Up next, Asuka takes on Nia Jax, where if Nia wins, she's inserted into the Raw Women's title match at WrestleMania. It's a good big woman, little woman match here. The story here is that, for the first third of this match, Nia seems to have an answer for everything Asuka's doing. Some really cool moments where Nia set up Asuka's early offense, well scouted and blocked and countered. She's just stopping Asuka at every turn early on and really putting her streak in peril for that first part. There's a spot later on when Asuka, I should say, is making her comeback. They do a spot from NXT TakeOver at the end when Nia screams at Asuka in defiance, and then Asuka kicks her in the face anyway. That is not the finish, however. Nia goes for a bonsai out of the corner and just misses, and that looks like a pretty painful bump there. Nia goes for a rolling senton, and she's supposed to miss. Asuka's supposed to roll out of the way, but she winds up getting hit in the legs either way, so kind of a sloppy spot there, but that's kind of a nitpick in this match itself. Nia goes for a powerbomb, but Asuka counters it into a Hurricane Rana, into a roll-up, and wins the match. And what they're kind of billing is kind of an upset, because like I said, Nia was really the story here, and her dominance over Asuka for 2/3 of the match, but Asuka did just enough to survive and overcome and win this thing and keep her streak alive and keep it a one-on-one match for the championship at WrestleMania. But after the match happens, Nia jumps her from behind, does an OMG moment in the corner on the outside through the barricade with the spear. So she stands tall, kind of a sore loser here. It's not the only time we'll see that in this matchup. Now, since we've already seen Asuka versus Bliss on Raw with Asuka winning clean, it does nothing for me to see the potential rematch for these two for the championship at WrestleMania. There's nothing for me. Where's the draw? Where's the appeal in that match when we've already seen what happens on Raw, and that they will probably just happen again at WrestleMania? I think it would have been far more intriguing for Nia to actually win in this match and make it a triple threat with Alexa and Nia and their history and their friendship being tested here in this match. However, I knew that wasn't going to happen because it wasn't going to happen at the expense of Asuka's win streak. That wasn't going to happen. So I knew Asuka was going to win here. So now what do you do with the Women's Championship on Raw? Again, I don't think Asuka and Bliss again is going to be as big a match as it could have been. Maybe they should have saved it for WrestleMania. We then get Bray Wyatt versus Woken Matt Hardy in a rematch from Raw 25. There's no proper entrance for Bray here, as he just kind of poofs into the ring after Matt's entrance, but Matt's not in the ring anymore. His body is gone, but his jacket remains. Then you hear Matt's voice over the loudspeakers. He sings the Obsolete song. Bray's looking for him frantically, then Matt comes out and jumps him from behind behind on the outside, and the match is officially on. A far more competitive and entertaining matchup than their downer at the Manhattan Center the week before the Royal Rumble match. And once again, something's going on out in the crowd that's totally distracting the audience from what's going on in the ring itself. It's a beach ball related incident because I hear there's a "We Want Beach Ball" chant in the middle of the match, and Corey tries to pass it off as people chanting in support of Matt Hardy, which is just a flat out lie. Just don't even acknowledge it if you're gonna do that. And then Coach ups he doubles down on that stupidity, because then there's a Rusev Day chant later in the match, and Coach says maybe the fans are just trying to add to the craziness of this matchup. Yeah, because remember in Impact Wrestling when the Hardys would wrestle like Decay, and then they'd be wrestling, the fans would be chanting for someone totally unrelated to what was going on here. Anyway, Bray goes for Sister Abby, but Matt counters it and hits the Twist of Fate to win the match, so he gets his win back. And really, I mean, I understand why the fans tuned out of this matchup, because this is a storyline that's only hit one gear. It's never got out of second gear. There are no stakes. These two gimmicks basically cancel each other out in terms of silliness and goofiness. So really, unless, assuming they get a rubber match at WrestleMania, if they don't start doing some wild and wacky shit in the build of that and the match itself at Mania, then, I mean, they gotta do a lot of stuff to keep things interesting here. We then get Ronda Rousey's contract signing for Monday Night Raw. Kurt Angle, Triple H, and Stephanie McMahon all welcome Ronda to the ring, who's wearing a much better fitting leather jacket this time around. Right off the bat, Ronda is stumbling through her opening words here in this promo, and the fans are almost immediately pouncing on her for that. You can just tell the crowd is just so loud and restless and not invested in what is going on with this segment here. They do isolate one Ronda Rousey chant in the crowd here. You can definitely tell it's like one section here they're trying to boost up. Triple H states that she will have a match at WrestleMania, though it's not for a championship, and Ronda tries to stay humble and say, I don't want to be given a title opportunity right off the bat. I just want to, compete here. I want to be a regular roster member here. So before she starts signing the contract, basically unprovoked, Kurt Angle spills the beans on Triple H and Stephanie's grand master plan that they're signing Ronda to a contract to get back at her as for revenge for what happened at, well, he said WrestleMania 21, or 31, I should say. Yeah, Kurt, WrestleMania 21. You wrestled Shawn Michaels and Ronda Rousey flipped Triple H over. Remember those things happening the same night? Anyway, then Angle says, Stephanie, didn't you tell me you thought Ronda was a has-been and even you could take her on? Triple H gets in the ring trying to defuse the situation, but he eats a big slam from Ronda through the table, and then Stephanie slaps Ronda, and a loud "you fucked up" chant happens, just emanates throughout the entire arena. That was the highlight of this whole segment here. Then Stephanie bails, Ronda signs the contract, and clearly we're getting Stephanie versus Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania, which should be, I think it's going to be a pretty big draw. I was curious about what happened and why Kurt did what he did, because it seems so out of nowhere, but the more I thought about it, this is Kurt getting back at Triple H for their conflict at Survivor Series months ago, and maybe this is the way we're going to get Triple H and Kurt. It was rumored for so long, especially when the news of Jason Jordan as the biological son came up and everything. We thought, this is where it's going to naturally lead. And so then with Jordan hurt, it's like, that's, who knows what's going to happen there. But now it seems maybe these two are going to fight at Mania, or maybe they're going to be the cornermen for Ronda and Stephanie. That to me makes more sense than having a match for Triple H and Angle at WrestleMania. I mean, both are equally feasible, but that's kind of the way I'm seeing it right now. Super rocky beginning of this segment. It was very clunky from the beginning. The fans just did not give a shit. Ronda stumbling through her words. Kurt stumbling through his words is an increasingly common occurrence on programming. So yeah, Ronda on the mic, she's not ready for mic time in a WWE format just yet. She sounded too quiet. She wasn't boisterous. That's kind of what you need if you want to cut a promo in the company. Make her a Paul Heyman girl, that sort of thing. That's a good way to kind of correct the situation there. Only when Kurt finally got on track and helped deliver the exposition and keep the plot moving did things finally pick up, and then when things got physical, things got interesting from there. So this segment had a little bit of good and a little bit of bad, but we definitely have a clear sight, clear vision of what Ronda Rousey's doing at WrestleMania now. Main event time, the men's Elimination Chamber match. The winner will face Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania for the Universal Championship. Miz, Balor, and Rollins start the match off in a triple threat setting. I love this part at the beginning where Miz tries to form alliances with the other guy and it doesn't work out. First he tries to talk with Rollins, then he tries to talk with Balor, does the too sweet thing, and he gets denied. That was pretty funny stuff. John Cena enters next, and then for a while we get basically two separate matches going on at the same time. One between Rollins and Miz, one between Cena and Balor. Roman Reigns enters next, and Miz does the it kicks to all four guys in the ring who are selling just for days. The amount of selling these guys are just doing all on their knees waiting for Miz to do his spot. It just seems a little bit contrived. Braun Strowman is the next one out. He immediately throws Rollins into the chamber wall and starts attacking everyone else. Double suplex onto Cena and Rollins. I love this one part here because Braun chases Miz up to the top of the pod. A beating ensues and he tosses Miz down onto the rest of the competitors. Great stuff here. The Miz is the first one to be eliminated after a Braun power slam. Elias's pod opens last, but he does not come out just yet. The other four guys gang up on Strowman and it turns into an everyone get their shit in fest because you got the shield bomb, Strowman kicks out, then finisher, Strowman kicks out of everything. After Finn hits a coup de grace onto Strowman, then he's just powdering and selling on the outside for a bit, and the other four guys fight. More finishers happen. Elias swoops in finally, tries to pin the other guys, but fails. Elias does try to hit an electric chair into a powerbomb onto Strowman. He hit it on Roman earlier, like a minute or two earlier. Tries to do it on Strowman of all people, but fails. Then Strowman hits Elias with a power slam, eliminates him. Hits Cena with a power slam, eliminates him. He eliminates Finn Balor with a power slam. Like, he is just destroying everyone left and right here. He's responsible for every elimination in this match but one. Strowman's starting to chase Rollins up the wall, but Roman catches him and dumps him with a Samoan drop. Rollins with a frog splash from the top of the pod onto Strowman. A real frog splash, Sasha. Take note of that, but Strowman kicks out anyway. So after another power slam, Rollins is gone, and now you're down to Strowman and Roman. These two guys are just destined to fight each other forever at this point. Reigns leaps over the ropes and hits Strowman into the chamber wall. Braun charges at Reigns, but Roman dodges. Strowman destroys a pod. Soups punch. Soups punch. Soups punch. Man, I want some soup right now. Spear. Strowman gets right back up. Another spear, and Roman finally conquers the giant, and he wins, and he goes on to fight Lesnar at WrestleMania after spamming Strowman to death with a bunch of signatures and finishing moves. After the matchup, Strowman is getting up, and he slams Roman twice and throws Roman through another pod. And again, sore losers. Night of sore losers here. We got Nia Jax earlier, and now we have Braun Strowman here. Again, how many times can we see Braun Strowman do these amazing things and kick so much ass only to not come through in the end and win the whole thing? How many times can we see that happening before fans stop caring? Honestly, I didn't care for this match, and I think, only a small part of it had to do with Strowman killing everybody and then Roman being the conquering hero at the end. That was a small part of it, but really this whole thing was just kind of a slow, plotting matchup. I don't think it was a very good match. You could have had this match without the chamber, and I think it would have been pretty similar, all told. There were some good spots here and there that I enjoyed. I think the highlights for me were Miz and Elias doing their stuff, but I think, you could have had this match with or without a chamber, and you would have had the same results. After a while, this became this slow grind to the inevitable conclusion of Roman winning in the end. I think I was actually more entertained by the women's chamber match. And so now at WrestleMania, we get this match for the Universal Championship. Reigns and Lesnar, two guys whose characters have evolved not one iota since WrestleMania 31. There's been no growth, no evolution for these two guys at all since then. So really, what are we getting from this matchup? Will it be a good match? I think so. I enjoyed the stuff they did at WrestleMania 31. I don't think it's going to be any different here. I still think they'll find a way to make the match exciting and interesting. But, why couldn't we just got this out of our systems at WrestleMania 31 so we didn't have to wait 3 years? Because we knew this at the end of last year's WrestleMania. We knew what the rumor was, that it was going to be, Lesnar and Reigns for the championship. We just wanted to believe anything but that to be the case. And now, 11 months later, here we are, and this is where we're at. And it's like, it still doesn't feel real, but now it's just like, okay, just give it to us already. So now we have 6 weeks left to build until WrestleMania, and honestly, with the exception of a couple of matches that were really made clear on Sunday, there's a lot of question marks on the Raw side, especially of what's going to happen on that show. Because, there's 6 other dudes in that chamber match who you could all argue could have made a case for something upper to mid card on WrestleMania. So now where do they all end up? Braun Strowman and the conflict with Triple H at Survivor Series, is that going to get brought up again between now and Mania? At this point, I don't think so, now that Kurt Angle stuck his nose in Triple H's business again. So really, what's going to happen with a lot of people, not just the guys in the chamber, but also the Raw tag scene? There's a lot of stuff going on here that I am really curious to see how they're going to go from point A to point B before Mania. And of course, there's Fastlane coming up in 2 weeks, and there's that. My final grade for Elimination Chamber 2018 is going to be a C- grade. There were some things I did enjoy from this show. The women's chamber match I thought was the better of the two. Nia Jax and Asuka, even though the finish was kind of predictable of Asuka winning, I think it was still an entertaining matchup itself. And then the second half of the Ronda Rousey contract signing bit, I enjoyed a lot more than the first half. But as far as the cons, it really boils down to the men's chamber match not being that great of a match, and the apathetic crowd. It's not going to go toward the grade, but it is worth mentioning just how terrible this crowd really was, all told. Let me know what you guys thought about Elimination Chamber in the comment section below, and give it a letter grade with the gimmick in the upper right hand corner of your screen. Be sure to thumbs up this video if you like it, subscribe to Wrestling with Regret, buy the t-shirts at ProWrestlingTees.com, and check out Patreon.com/WrestlingWithRegret for exclusive perks and bonus content. I'm Brian Zane, and I'll see you next time.